They don't call me Deep Gary for nothing.
Nobody calls you Deep Gary.
That was my college nickname.
Nobody calls
Deep Gary.
Nobody has ever said Deep Gary.
Because I always jumped into the deep end first.
Well, that's okay. It's not what I was thinking, but sure.
Does everyone have their juice box?
Man, I was about to...
In this episode...
I drank the Dr. Pepper way too fast, man. I was about to rip one right here in the beginning.
You're going to share your juice box with everybody.
Nope. By the fourth episode, you are doing great.
Yeah, okay.
Joined with Jason Buff as our intermediary co-host. Today we are joined with Vanessa Joy. And you probably didn't notice that it was a soft J, and you guys have been pronouncing it wrong the whole time.
Completely wrong the whole time.
How do you feel about that?
Well, it's not even Yoy, it's Hoy, kind of like Spanish-ish.
See, even I got it wrong.
Yeah.
Hoy, gringo.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You can't take me
Pinche
anywhere.
gringo, no entiendo.
No, Vanessa Joy. Yeah?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You're a busy person this week. You got a lot going on.
I am. WPPI is like... it's just a marathon because you finally get to see all the people you don't get to see. You get to do podcasts like this. And then at some point, you're supposed to be teaching something. So you just run around like a lunatic and drink 5-hour energies all day. So you're a photographer, you're a teacher, you're a creator. Who are you? How do you see you? Oh, that's just way too deep for the beginning of the podcast, dude. They don't call me Deep Gary for nothing.
Nobody calls you Deep Gary.
That was my college nickname.
Nobody calls
Deep Gary.
Nobody has ever said Deep Gary.
Because I always jumped into the deep end first.
Well, that's okay. It's not what I was thinking, but sure.
She's got a dirty mind. Oh, Vanessa, this is a kid's show.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't think it is. You said there was whiskey.
This plays on Nickelodeon.
Nick Jr.
Nick Jr.
Which
Nick
is where
Night.
all of
Nick
the cool shows Nick at Night play these days, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Who am I? I see myself as more of a business person than a photographer, to be honest. Yeah, I enjoy that more. I like photography, but I enjoy the top-down look at business, whether it's the wedding photography business or the photo education business, or even trying to crack the YouTube code and build a following there.
Oh, yes.
It's the thumbnail.
The elusive
It's
code.
the thumbnail. They all look the same. The ones
do.
that...
I know.
Does that hurt your soul as much as it hurts mine?
You know what hurts my soul more? I've been doing YouTube for like 3.5-4 years now. Really, really working at it. Quality videos, quality thumbnails, theoretically working on the SEO. I post a meme, literally a meme of my father back in the day, who was a one-hit wonder, and it has over 2 million views. And that is going viral. Nothing to do with photography or anything I've worked for.
Who is your father?
My father was the lead singer of Ram Jam, the song Black Betty. Whoa, Black Betty.
That's your dad?
He was the lead singer. He didn't sing that song, but he was the lead singer.
Wow.
Sang back up on
I
that one.
love that song.
Sing back up on their most famous song.
Yeah.
All right, so YouTube.
My dad's
you want to
Neil
know You want to know a hot tip for YouTube and what really helps?
What?
Do you use Google Trends?
So, no. You're using that to see what video to make, yeah?
Getting tense.
So, all right, we're on YouTube, obviously. And one of the things that I found out is since YouTube is owned by Google and Google's the biggest search engine, it's going to prioritize videos that are in and among and using the words of Google Trends. So what's trending right now is AI. Right. So your video in AI right now is Google's going to shoot you to the top of the list.
I have a video. It's the last video I posted on AI.
And how did it do?
It's okay. It's not the best in the world. It's always better when I'm talking about gear because that's what everyone wants to hear.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That's the topic that's never going to go away. Mm-hmm. So what's your take on the gear? Is it the gear or the photographer and approach?
Oh, it's the photographer for sure. I could hand,
trick question.
It's not though. I mean, I could hand my 5-year-old kid the camera I use. It's not going to do much except probably break. But you give a photographer an iPhone and they can make some magic.
So where did you learn it? How did you amass all of this knowledge?
I learned a little bit from my mom. She was a photographer. So I learned how to set up her studio lights when she had shoots to do. And I learned off of her film cameras that she gave me. But I really loved photography, or first loved photography, when I started high school. I was homeschooled for 9 years. So my 10th grade, my sophomore year, I decided to have my elective be photography. And I really did it to please her because she was sitting next to me when I had to choose it. And I just fell in love with it. Black and white photography in the darkroom. And my photography teacher in high school, shot weddings on the weekends. So when I graduated, I ended up working for him. And the rest is history.
So how long did you work as a assistant or second shooter
5
before
years.
you? So 5 years.
Yeah, which is a lost art. Nobody works for somebody else for 5 years before starting their own business.
That was pretty much the only way to do it. If you were going to do it, you needed that mentor.
Absolutely. I think you still do. Maybe not for 5 years.
Would you do it again?
Yes. I got to make all my mistakes on his business.
Yeah.
Like
right?
his reputation. He let me try out marketing experiments, and I had to convince him to build a website. That was a fun fight that went on for like 5 months. But we were close, so it was fine. But I got to experiment on his business with his money, and that's a great experience. You're going to learn, and you're not going to like tarnish yourself while you're learning.
So if you could go back in time to younger Vanessa and give her some points during that time, what would they be? Time traveling Vanessa.
Time traveling Vanessa.
Let's go back and
don't go to college, because I did go to college, and I think it's crap.
All right.
All right. Straight out of the gate there.
Yeah.
Let's unpack that.
Yeah. I have 5 college degrees. None of them are worth it.
No, you do not.
I do. I
5?
have 5.
So you went to college real hard.
I got them in 5 years. Kind of worked the system, but
What?
yeah.
How did you do that? Well, all right. Let's back up. We'll get there. Sorry.
Younger Vanessa, don't go to college. And I think I had another point. I totally forgot what it was after going on the college rant. Oh, I became a Spanish teacher. If I had I thought in my head, this is going to age me. This was like pre-Instagram, pre-Facebook, really, pre-having any other photography influence except for the people in your vicinity. I didn't realize that photography could be a real job. I had my example of my mom, who was really a stay-at-home mom that did photography, and then my high school photography teacher, who was a high school photography teacher that just did photography on the weekends. So I became a Spanish teacher. What a waste of time and life and energy.
Teachers are teachers are underappreciated.
People gotta learn
A lot of people in my family were,
Yeah.
and I mean, they cared for it so much.
And they're micromanaged, which I think is the worst part.
I mean, yeah, to teach all day and then have to grade papers all night for that wage.
Not cool.
Yeah, not cool.
Not cool.
I mean, that's a whole other.
Yeah, it's a whole other
We don't.
couple
get into that.
beans.
You don't get, this is a non. The thing I like about this is politics. Not allowed to talk about.
No.
Things like
No thanks.
government. No,
No.
not in my life.
Let's dig it.
That is a different podcast.
Well, the thing that, like, I'm horrible with the business side of things, so I would love to kind of dive into that a little bit.
Okay.
Like, why is that something that appeals to you, and what? Let's have a little like therapy session here.
Okay, because you're a true creative then, yeah?
I'm a very I have no talent at all for the business side of it, and people ask me, I do creative workshops where I teach lighting and stuff like that, and then if people ask me about the business side, I'm kind of like, well, IPS. They're like, well, tell us
Well,
about
that's
that.
good.
Oh,
In plane switching.
yeah. I don't know what it stands for, but
Just told you. Silly. Listen.
damn it, I don't listen to anything you say. So can you talk a little bit about maybe what most photographers, the things that you are commonly telling photographers in order to, empower themselves and to be able to turn it into something they're making money with?
Right. Well, number one is charge enough money, because I think that's the biggest, and I'm not going to say it's a fault of photographers, but it is the biggest fear of photographers. They don't charge enough because either they don't think they're worth it, or they don't think they're going to book that many jobs because of that. And raising your prices is the hardest thing to do, but you really have to do it very frequently, especially these days. If eggs are going up in price, then so are my 8x10s.
So what would you say to people who say, okay, well, I'm already struggling, or I'm not getting enough clients. I don't want to raise my prices because I'm worried I'm also going to isolate the people I do have. I kind of already know where the answer is for this, but I hear this a lot, that they're afraid to raise their prices because they've got the people that they work with and the people that they have kind of regular clients, and then they're worried that it's going to price them out of their thing or whatever. Or maybe they feel like they don't have the talent to charge what they're,
I think it's
charging.
all of the above. But you have to pinpoint where the problem is, because you just said, okay, well, they're not getting clients, or, maybe they're stuck in where they are, and that clientele and that level it just depends on where the business is. If you're not getting enough clients, which I hear that a lot, it's an oversaturated market. Everybody is undercharging in my area. That's usually not a pricing problem. It's usually a marketing and branding problem. And that's where you have to tackle that. It's so multifaceted. But the nice thing is about it is that you don't have to go to photo conferences and photo YouTube channels to learn about a business. In fact, I encourage everybody not to. You want to learn Instagram? Go follow like that guy, Brock Johnson. And that's all he does is teach Instagram to anybody that's a business owner or influencer. You want to learn about financials? Then go listen to, I'm trying to think of like a good financial guy because clearly I don't listen to any of them. But, go outside the industry to learn how to run a business because photographers usually suck at it because we're creatives.
Yeah.
We want to take pictures. We didn't get into photography because we liked counting books. We like holding cameras.
Yeah. It's the age old problem of making $1,000 and then, oh shit, I can go buy that $1,000 lens.
Yeah.
It's a quick way to wind up in IRS prison. You know? Oh shit, taxes.
Oh yeah.
Some of them,
What?
Damn those
Other
quarterlies.
taxes? Get out of here. The taxes.
I'm
Jason
being
lives in
very
Mexico.
quiet.
What are the taxes like in Mexico? I don't know. I don't pay them. All right, we're
Next topic.
note to editors. Delete this section of the podcast.
Delete all evidence.
No, I mean I'm not I am a resident in Mexico, so almost all the work I do is in the U.S. So it's like I don't really have to worry too much about it,
Oh, okay.
and I'll
fair
stick
enough.
by that.
That sounds good.
Fair enough.
So anyway, we have a guest here today.
Vanessa.
We can talk about taxes. That's why I moved to Texas. No income taxes.
So what, when, I mentioned a couple of different things and you said you have to break those things down and
Yes.
say which one is specific. Okay. Like in terms of, I've got a number of friends right now that are really frustrated because they're just not getting clients and they're not, there's a lot of things that are kind of wrong in the way that they are, running things. But can you kind of look at each one of those and talk about each one of those and what advice you would give to people in order to, help them out?
So let's start with marketing.
I keep saying them because I'm talking about myself.
The royal them.
Asking for a friend.
I know this guy that,
If you were to start with the marketing, let's start there because I think that's what everybody kind of wants. Like, how do I get the people in my door?
Right.
If you start with marketing, I would say the best thing that you can do is just build relationships. Because if we're going to talk about weddings, for example, you don't have repeat clients often. They get married and they move on, right? But your repeat clients are the wedding planner and the florist, all the vendors, the venue, the people that you work with. And you get those referrals and those repeat clients technically from those relationships that you build. All of the success that I've had has, come from different parts of the funnel and, some of it's organic social media, some of it's word of mouth, but ultimately it does come down to relationships being the strongest pull through that funnel. Even now I just have a couple of hauls where I just moved to Texas a little over a year ago and I'm getting business there right away because I developed relationships with those people. Plus, then you get to work with people you like, which is kind of nice.
but when you say you've built relationships with people for what kind of things is that for weddings or is that for
People within the industry. So
Right.
for me, weddings,
Right.
I'm going to build relationships with venue owners and wedding planners.
Okay.
So that can happen a lot of different ways. You do have to do it very strategically. You can't just like Instagram and be like, hey, I'm new to the area. I'm awesome. You should recommend me.
Right.
Instead, hey, I'm new to the area.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work?
No.
No.
I'm like, hi, I'm awesome.
And you should know
You
it.
should hire me. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. It doesn't work.
So, true or false? Bridges were made to be burned.
False.
Why?
Oh, false.
Part of the topic, relationships.
Are
Yeah.
you going to, yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, he's
Really
he always
underutilized.
every time he points,
Whenever
he wants
there's
the
a
sad
question-
trombone.
No, but we always do a little bit of a quiz.
No, so I bring that up because what you're talking about now is super important for so many aspects. So you're kind of diversifying from what I'm hearing, both with, and you're doing this, and I want to talk about your Canon Explorer of Light and that relationship. So it's not just the relationships of like the local vendors, but you're doing so much more and you're very active. And I don't know how you have enough time in the day because you're doing a lot. So break
Yeah.
it all down. Break it all down for us.
Oh, man. I mean, I guess if you're going to talk about those relationships, for me, everything's very strategic. And I don't know if it almost sounds manipulative when I say it, I guess. So if I'm moving into a new area, I'm going to find the halls in the area that I want to work with that have brand alignment for me. So that carries over to Canon or Profoto or whoever else, right? You're going to find the people that will work well with you, that have similar clients, that have similar styles and things like that, and then find a way to serve them. So, for example, the venue owner, I didn't just say, hey, you want to go out for a cup of coffee? I said, hey, I'm going to be in the area, I can photograph your family, because a lot of people have families, and even wedding planners, they get offered by photographers like headshots all the time, right? I go, let me photograph your headshot. They don't need another headshot, but you know what they need? They need those Easter pictures, because they don't have time to even think about that. So it's just finding ways to be there. When it comes to like Canon and all those relationships, I've been speaking for at least 10 or 12 years at this point. And it's just like, you get to know this person, then this person, then this person, then that person. And you can kind of roadmap it out in a lot of ways until you find the people that you need to know.
Who are the people that we need to know?
People you need to know?
What if a couple of guys like us,
A couple of hot
knowing
swingers
what you
like
know
us
about
here.
us, which is very little, we just met. How do we?
What are you talking about, man?
Well, I'm about to get there.
Why are
I'm
we,
about to make a point.
It always goes off.
How
the
do we
rails.
go down there? So Jason, famous photographer of all sorts, amazing artist. How do we go down there and start working with brands? What,
Yeah, how do I put
what are
that-
the do's and don'ts?
By the end of the day, I would like to be a Canon Explorer.
That was
of
a
light.
20-year goal of mine.
Ooh, 20-year goal.
Is a
How long did it take?
long game. 20 years. I'm not kidding.
Okay,
I the first wanted to be an explorer.
20
of
years
light.
ago. It's that old?
It's that old. I
didn't
remember
know it
the
was that
first
old.
time I went to Photo Plus in New York City, and I saw Dennis Reggie speak, and I heard somebody whisper like, "Oh, he's an explorer of light," and I'm like, "Oh my God, what's that? I need to be that." But it was something I've always dreamed about. It probably took very intentional about 5 years of relationship building to get there and to find out like what's valuable. So that's the thing. Again, when it comes to the venue owner, what does she need? How can I serve them? And I can serve her by taking family photos. When it came to Canon, how can I serve them? Well, the Canon Explorer of Light program is a marketing program. Yeah. So I need to build my social following. I need to get in their line of sight during these trade shows where I have, big audiences and they can see that people respond and things like that. And then also loyalty, because they like a lot of loyalty. It's always a moving target, but it's just like finding like where are their sites? What are their goals right now? And how can you be a part of fulfilling them?
What's the Canon gear you use? Walk us through what's in your bag.
All my gear.
Is this going to take a long time?
Yes.
It's a lot of gear.
It's a lot of gear. I like my gear. I shoot with the EOS R5 and the R3, which is weird for a wedding photographer, but I just love that form factor. I have the 20-70 that's on my camera most of the time. And then I am waiting to buy that new RF 135 1.8.
What's the reason why they all of a sudden it's 28-70, not the 24-70? We lost
'Cause it's F2.
Because it's F2.
Yeah. If it was 24-70 F2, it would be even heavier, and that thing is a beast.
So what's the reason they use for? We lost 4 millimeters. It comes
have
down
no
to
idea.
nerdy math.
It's nerdy math. It has to be nerdy math, right?
So I'm going to share with you guys my 20-year goal. I think in 20 years, I want to get to the point where I know all the nerdy math and I can speak like a lens engineer.
Yeah,
Lengineer.
that would be.
Is that
Good
the
to-
official
good to know.
title? I don't know.
A
Working on
engineer.
So you could explain like the light physics behind why RF lenses don't work on DSLRs.
Yeah, things like speaking eloquently about the circle of confusion. Those are goals.
That's a good goal.
I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to be honest, but
So-
it's a goal
It
nonetheless.
So since you do weddings, I always have to ask this because my favorite thing is hearing stories from weddings.
Mm-hmm.
And do
I
you
got
have any kind
stories.
of like good nightmare stories or anything that you can share with our audience? That,
I mean, I have plenty. It depends on what exactly do you want to hear. One of my favorites, you guys seem like you have a good sense of humor, so you'll like this. Maybe. I don't know. One of my favorites is I had a bride in the morning that refused to get her dress on until she was done drinking her poo juice coffee. she wouldn't get her dress on
Poo
until
juice.
her poo juice worked.
Get it. So she referred to it as poo juice.
She referred to it as poo juice. She walked around in her bridal beauty and would not get her dress on until her poo juice worked. And then she put a dress on.
Poo juice. I think we can all relate to that.
Yep.
Gary, have you had your poo juice today?
Yeah, I did. I'm a very regimented poo juice drinker. It's nice. It's the second thing I do in the morning.
What's
the first thing?
The first thing I do, so two things. So I get up, go to the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
I make an athletic greens.
There we
drink.
go. Good.
So drink about 16 ounces of water. It's like a gut health thing. You know, a lot of vitamins. Then wait a little bit.
Yep.
And then coffee. So espresso first.
Okay.
So one espresso. By this point, I've
What do we
feeding my
call it, a
dogs. So
poo-espresso?
while feeding the dogs and then taking them out,
Okay.
a little bit of walk. By the time I get back,
This is
it's been about an
captivating
hour since I've
podcasting right here.
been up. Right? You asked for it. And I'm descriptive, and my edibles kicked in, so I'm kind of high. So,
Good.
so then the coffee, pour over coffee, measuring it out.
Okay.
Measured out poo juice. 15 to 1
15 to 1.
grams to ounces of.
Okay.
Yeah, that.
See,
Sorry, go ahead.
after that conversation, I feel like you could know all the things about the lenses.
Yeah,
that was very detailed.
I like details. That's why a lot of our tutorials, I'm like, all right, let's go deep into this and let's explore it.
Let's
explore
make sure
light.
you've got your poo juice.
Yeah.
We're going to work.
Let's explore
forward.
the light.
That same bride.
Well, I have ADHD, so I need poo juice.
Oh, yeah. That might make it worse, actually.
Direct correlation. ADD and poo juice. They are mutually exclusive, but together.
They're related. Okay, so go ahead.
That same bride later that day got so fed up with her family during family photos because they just weren't listening. She ran into the bridal suite and took off her dress and just laid on the couch naked until her family decided to start behaving again.
Do you have a number?
She
She
this
sounds
is
delightful.
a woman that we want to get to know more.
Yes, she sounds lovely.
I mean, I've had everything. I've had everything from nasty wedding planners to drunk people to I had some guy. Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah.
I had some guy. I was running
Nick at
a
night
Yeah.
encourages it. We get fined every time.
I was running a photo booth at the time. Bad idea. I never want to do that again. But they only paid for it up until 1 hour before the reception ended. So we start closing it. And this guy just starts getting mad. And my assistant, who was working the photo booth at the time, was just like, this guy's like mad. I can't tell why. And he's like, well, you know, you get paid $20 a minute. Apparently he heard what I got paid overall, not for the photo booth. And you closed 1 minute early. I'm like, do you want a picture? No, I just want you to do your fucking job, bitch. Like,
Wow. He sounds
Okay.
lovely.
I bet he's a delight at home with his wife. You know, I bet she loves him.
I don't think he's married.
I
I
bet she
just don't
loves
think so.
I hope not.
For her sake.
That's colorful language.
So
Isn't it though?
I'm curious as to your photo booth options. What's your photo booth look like?
Well, this was probably 10 years ago now, and it was like one of those big with the curtains, huge setup, horrible idea. Now the Giphy booths and all that are way better. The 360 booths are very popular right now.
Oh, that's what I was imagining.
So is that hardware that you rent per, or do you own it?
Oh, I owned it in the past. Now I don't do it. Now I'm just like, go talk to that guy, that DJ. He knows, he has them all.
Got it. Okay, so if I have a wedding and I hired you, the photo booth and all that whole experience separate.
Yes.
You don't even want to mess with that.
I don't want to mess with it anymore. It wasn't worth it,
All right.
personally. I'd rather build a relationship with the DJ that I know does it,
There you go.
Okay.
and then he sends me work back too.
So what's your typical team on a wedding? Is it just you? Is it you and 10 other people? Like, what is it?
2 photographers. So we split up in the morning. And then I have an assistant with me. And then if I'm training someone, I'm big on training and there's always turnover. I will have a 3rd photographer. Sometimes that's also the assistant, and then they shoot when they can. So at max, we have 4. If it's a really big wedding, people can purchase additional photographers, which I don't have often. Every once in a while I do because I want like table photos or something. I'm like, okay, you need another photographer if
What
you
are
have
table photos?
table photos. Oh
Just-
dear God. So imagine
The napkins?
25 tables of 10 guests each.
Oh.
And they want a photo of all of them.
Oh.
Do the math.
fun.
That's
Yeah.
literally going to take 4 hours.
Yeah. A lot of permutations.
Yeah, and you're always waiting for someone. They're at the bar. They're on the dance floor.
Grandma on
they're
the
in the
left, grandma on the
bathroom.
right.
Yep. So things like that.
Grandma in the bathroom.
No, she said bathroom. I said grandma on the left, lady on the left.
God, it's the stereo. It just blended together.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
But so weddings are my worst nightmare. And
they're slowly becoming mine also. This is why I'm doing more YouTube and portraits and things.
I didn't even want I married in like a little teeny ceremony just because I hate weddings so much. But the planning and the thing, what are the key things? Like, walk me through when you're like in the morning, you're waking up, you're putting your plan together and everything. The thing that blows me away about wedding photographers is that you have to be prepared for every different lighting situation. You have to be prepared for herding people around and dealing with the stress of people who are probably drinking and all that stuff. So just walk through like a typical day of how you would like strategically plan for having amazing pictures.
Don't leave out poo juice.
Well, yes, definitely start the day with poo juice. Got to have a clear mind and body. And,
Poojuice.com.
Yeah, someone should do that. So, I mean, when you first start, I always get there early, a good half an hour early, just to start all the details. So there's like flat lays, there's the rings. So you got to do some macro photography, you got to do some still life with all the flat lays and the shoes and the dress and all those things. Always arriving early. And if I'm walking into a place where I know where I am, great. But every once in a while, you just walk into that really dank, dark house that you're like, what? There's no windows here. Why are there no windows? Right. You just take it as it is. I mean, there's only so many situations you can be thrown at, right? Like either I go into a place where I can use natural light or I don't.
Right.
And if I can't use natural light, because that is easiest, I can do whatever, but it's easier to not pull out my lights, then great. But if I have to pull out my lights, then I'll pull out, I don't know, like my pro photo with my massive shoot through extra large umbrella is my favorite thing because it's just like a portable window wherever I want it.
Right.
But yeah, it just depends. I mean, every wedding is a little bit different. Some things are controllable and some things aren't. So those moments are controllable, right? I could even control like how she's getting dressed and okay, stand next to this window so like you look good and the light is flattering. But then we get to the church and thou shalt not pass the fifth pew and you cannot use flash or any lights whatsoever, even though we have nothing but stained glass windows, brown ceiling, and a red carpet and tungsten spotlights just randomly scattered about.
I can feel the anger.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I can't stand shooting in churches.
Right.
It really is awful. It's a little bit better now that really high ISOs are not such a big deal. And things like the 135, 1.8 with image stabilization gets me a little closer when I need to be. But that part's not in your control.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to this friend of mine who is really interested in the business side of things, because we kind of got off track. Believe it or not, 3 photographers.
We may not be focused.
We wandered around a little bit. So the first thing is developing relationships with people so that you're, now what if you don't have relationships? Like let's look at like the world. My friend is a portrait photographer. Mm-hmm. And so let's say that he's newly arrived in a country like the United States and wants to start establishing himself and start to, building a business there. What do you think they should, friend should do to
killed it on that one.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well,
just kind of high-fiving myself inside for that amazing question.
You have to define your target audience. So portraiture, let's just say you want to start doing families. Where are families? Where do they hang out? What do they do?
Target.
What are families?
Literally.
Target.
Yeah, Target.
100%.
100%.
It's our favorite place to go.
Parks.
I don't know about you. Do you have Target in Mexico?
No, we do not.
Ooh, couldn't do it. That's why I could live in Mexico.
Yeah, we have Costco.
It's like my daughter's favorite place, and my girlfriend and mine. So like when we're there, we're all in our happy place. It is great. Anyway, go ahead.
Somebody should be a Target family photographer. That would be a lot of like hoops to jump through. But I feel like if you were just like an influencer, kind of like doing that would be like trend. That would totally trend.
Just have them sit on the big red ball.
Exactly. Well, the big red ball and the red carts and happy going down the aisle and the kids in the place in the cart where they're not supposed to be. They always fall off of it.
All right, focus. Come on.
I know it's hard.
It is.
This friend of mine, Mike, will say he's desperate. He needs to find clients for his portrait business go?
You
How
got
do
to
you
go where
start
they
finding-
are. I mean, it's everything. Everybody wants this like one word answer.
how does it-
it's
how
a
do you go
long
to where they
game. It's such a long game. So Uber. Yeah, that's how Lyft. I hear it's better.
What how do you feel about like Facebook ads and things like that?
That works too. So that's part of where is your audience.
Right.
So your audience, if you are a family photographer, it's probably more on Instagram, unless you're trying to target like grandma and grandpa, or more on Facebook these days, right? So you have to find where they are. So great, family photography on Instagram, that's where you start posting. And yeah, you could boost things with ads. You could do things, I've seen a lot of photographers do this, where you offer free mini sessions just to get people in the door, but then you sell them the actual product afterwards. It has to be so many different things. That's why it's a very hard question, because it has to be everything. You have to go where they are there. I also suggest doing things like finding charity events that have the clientele you want at them. So then go either attend them or offer to photograph them for free. And your goal is, yes, photograph it, but your goal is to meet people and make relationships. Right. That's where it all comes from. You could do the ads all day long, but I find that in the past when I've done ads, those weren't my best clients. My best clients were the ones where I had some kind of connection to them, whether I photographed their friend's wedding or they met me at a birthday party of, one of their nephews, things like that. So you have to go search for those. When you talk about
Quinceañeras.
Quinceañeras, good.
Yeah.
Easy in. Mm-hmm. Easy in.
If you want to do quinceañeras.
Do you not?
No comment.
You could do a lot of those. You would crush it.
Next topic.
Transition.
I feel like that's just right on the same level as weddings and a little bit of crazy.
Well, I live in Mexico, so it's like quinceañeras is the big thing. And, I've done a few for friends, and they're fine. They're good. My quinceañera pictures were not like anybody else's quinceañera pictures, though,
Yeah.
But, yeah. I've actually got a good friend of mine who has, he's created an amazing business. He's the main quinceañera guy in his area.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Very profitable.
Is there,
Very
what's the
busy.
word for someone who just shoots quinceañeras? Is there one?
Quinceañera photographer.
Quinceañera tour. Did we just make one up? Well, you guys both speak Spanish.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can
We
do
have
the
some
rest of the
conversations where you two are just going back and forth in Espanol.
we could do that.
Makes me happy hearing other languages.
I'm going to be called out that I don't actually speak Spanish.
Wait, really?
How did you learn
No, I'm
Spanish?
kidding.
Were you
In school.
in a household? Or
No,
in school?
I enjoy languages, so I knew I wanted to be a teacher. Not wanted. I thought I had to be a teacher to get a real job, because photography is not a real job, and that let me have summers off when a lot of weddings are. So yeah, I just learned it in school. Studied abroad for a little bit.
Any other languages?
Portuguese.
Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
Tudo bem?
Tudo bem?
Oh, I speak a little bit.
God,
Speak a little bit. Do you know what we just said?
I don't care.
It's, are you playing ping pong later?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
She said,
yeah.
to which she said, of course I'm playing.
Of course, yeah. All right.
Sorry. Can't go. Can't go.
No, but that was
anywhere
a
with
good
me.
side. That's my, okay. That leads me into my next transition.
Oh, what's on the
Dude,
next one?
come on, man. And now,
So
we're going
we
to
need,
talk
we need
about.
a segment where after that we do a word of the day, and then we break down a photography
Yeah,
noun.
we're
in a way
working this
that,
out live.
Yeah.
Figuring out the podcast as
All
we
right.
do it.
Wrong answers only. What do you do for a living?
Oh, I don't have a brain for this.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Jeez, man.
Hold on.
It's
I
too
gotta
late in the
go
day.
from trying to be correct about everything and teach people things to the other side of the brain. Okay. What do I do for a living?
She's gonna leave here and be like, I can't do the rest of the day.
I can't.
Something broke. And
No, it's over.
the
What do I
amateur
do?
of those two broke.
But
me.
give me
Okay, do
give me
me.
my beat again.
Take
All right,
two.
here we go.
And now, our mental health moment. Okay, so
Charge up.
my thing is, if I wasn't a photographer, I'd be a psychiatrist. So we're
Really?
gonna dig into the mental side of
That's one of my degrees.
working. God damn it!
We never got that. You've got 5.
Too.
How did you get?
What are your
that?
5 degrees?
And did you buy them online?
No, I did kind of buy the yoga certification online though. Yogaforphotographers.com. It's a thing.
Wait, what? You have yoga for photographers?
.com.
What do we do there?
You buy yoga classes that I teach you on how to relieve the pressure that holding cameras all day creates.
Oh, so it's specific for. Jason was just talking about. He's like,
I got
arm,
tinnitus.
a whole thing.
Yeah.
My arm
going
is like
on.
messed up.
You haven't seen the forearm roller post on my Instagram, have you? Oh, it's going to change your life.
No comment. That's on your Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to look at it.
See,
You
this was meant to
I've
be.
been shaking hands
This was
all
meant to
day
be.
and- Yeah.
I'm telling you, best thing for photographers, other than yoga for photographers. My degrees are social sciences, music, photography, modern language, education.
Wow. And how did you do it all one a year? Aren't those normally like a
Because
3 or 4 year kit and
two-
caboodle?
2, I have a double bachelor's and the rest are associates. But once you do your gen eds and you've strategically picked your electives within your gen eds, you really have to take like 2 more classes to get a degree.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on if you wanted to get a degree in
not rocket science, man.
art, right? Let's say it's art. Why are they making you take geography in college? You know?
Because they want your money.
Right. Okay.
And this is why you shouldn't go to college.
What,
Unless
so
you're
what-
going to be like a doctor.
What do people do in that is a so I've got multiple opinions on this. I think that period of time, if it's right after high school and you're 18, that period is you need that time to like grow up. So that part is essential. You can't still be at home, in my opinion. So that to me is what college is good for. Kind of growing up. But
Okay.
I am with Vanessa on that was a whole lot of money for not a whole lot of value.
Yes.
And just the whole format of it. Like, I didn't want to take half the classes I did. And I would actually go to classes that I wasn't in because I liked the teachers, I liked the concepts, but it didn't fit in whatever my major was.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit. That was a lot
It
of money.
is. Yeah. It's a lot of money for bullshit.
Yeah. And the way that I learn is kind of why this company is the way it is. It's visual. I don't like reading. I'm very ADD. So, like, I start reading, I start thinking of shit. And then, like, I'm 5 pages in. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I just read.
Yeah. I don't think I read any of that.
No.
I think it just moved my eyes.
Yeah. So I convinced people like you guys. I was like, teach me all your secrets. I'll document it. Then I get it, and then we sell it, and we both win.
That's how it works, man.
That's
Ta-da.
that's the
You
gist.
smack a label on it.
Yeah, smack a
before you
label
even
on it.
knew what you had.
Right? Yeah.
I like doing Jurassic Park quotes, by the way.
I didn't pick up on that being
No,
Jurassic
neither
Park.
did I.
Smack a never mind. Forget it. Some people
That was a deep cut.
you
I
listener-
appreciate a deep cut.
listeners out there understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Even if these two guys don't know what I'm talking
Jason's in
No,
control.
no.
about. Okay, give me my thing again because
Okay.
I want to introduce my mental health moment.
Okay. Oh,
Oh, we're still doing that. Okay.
We didn't do it. We talked about yoga. Here we go.
Yeah.
now
Okay.
for a brief moment, we're going to pause for station identification.
And now, a mental health moment with Dr. Buff. Anyway, so you actually have a psychology degree. So what I want to talk about is, I think, something that a lot of people don't talk about in this kind of, atmosphere is the mental side of dealing with working in a creative field and the kind of things that can happen to your brain from working in something that there is, as much as we try to put we give awards for things and we give degrees to things and really kind of depends on who you are as to whether or not you like those kinds of things. I'm not a huge fan of certain things like that. But anyway, how do you deal with the mental aspect of working in a creative field? And how do you deal with anxiety or depression or things like that?
It's hard because you're forced to be creative on demand when you're hired, right?
Right.
I have noticed very recently that every time that I have to go do a shoot that it's like for a paid client, like a bride, an engagement session, whatever it is, I get weirdly tired right beforehand. And I texted a friend of mine, Manny Ortiz, and he deals with and is vocal about his anxiety stuff. I'm like, is this a symptom of anxiety? And apparently it is. And I was just like, I didn't think anything of it until recently. But now dealing with it, it's like, well, at least I recognize that. And then once I recognize that, I can create new, map new neural pathways in order to be better at it. Yep. Some of the other things, though, that at least I deal with are YouTube comments and trolls and that kind of thing. And that affects me. I'm embarrassed to say it, but it really does. It gets me. It
affects all of us.
And I get so angry. And I have to not say the things I'm actually thinking. But more recently, I have a virtual assistant and she has to go through my comments and delete all the crap before I see it. because it's a thing. YouTube even knows it's a thing. The whole creator safety. They have creator safety guidelines that they recently sent me. And it's like, you can do increased strictness on your comments, and they have like all these guidelines because it is a thing and you're in the creative field. And even if it's something as simple as a client not liking their photos, like you poured a little piece of yourself into that and then they don't like it, I'm not sleeping for a month. Seriously.
Does it happen often?
Very rarely. I haven't had a complaint in probably 7 years, and then last month or the month before I had 3.
Ooh,
yeah.
Bad month.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know what to do with myself. One of them, it was my associate team. So it wasn't like me personally that photographed it. So I was able to kind of solve it. It was more an editing issue than anything else. And that was fine. Fixed that. Another problem was my associate team again. And I had somebody slack off basically and not photograph the things they were supposed to be photographing and ate cocktail hour instead of photographing it. So
now, is there corporal punishment for that in the house business of Vanessa?
No, I mean, there's punishment for me because I had to make it up to her by spending thousands of dollars. Like I had a reshoot. I paid for $600 for her hair and makeup. I'm giving her free this, free that, refunded her a little bit. And then the other one, I had a complaint, and honestly, like I saw she had crazy eyes in the beginning, and like I should have noticed that like that was a red flag.
The crazy eye matrix.
Yep.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Been there.
I photographed that one, but quite frankly, I don't feel like that was me. But it still ate at me like 100 times over. It was, oh, you should have taken it from this angle. And there are reasons I took it from a certain photo, from the angle that I took it at. But like she tells that to me. And now for the next month, I'm like, I don't know how to choose my angles. I don't know how to choose my lenses. What am I doing? I'm such a fraud. And then there goes the rest of the mental health for the week or month.
So a lot of your employees or assistants that you've had over the years, are a lot of them kind of becoming your competition, or how do you balance that?
I grew up working for that guy. I grew up in the photography industry, working for that one guy. And when we were working together, that was a big thing about like the competition. And he was almost bitter when I went out on my own. He was bitter when I went out on my own. And it was viewed as competition, but I think the industry overall has changed a little bit. And I knew when I started my own business that I never wanted that. I wanted to encourage the people that worked for me. So the people that work for me, most of them have been with me for 6+ years, some of them over a decade, multiple people over a decade. And it's because, I hope it's because that I feel like I cultivate them as photographers also. And I encourage them. And I've evaluated their businesses and critiqued their photos, and not just for me, but for them. So it technically is competition, but at the same time, it's not. And there is enough to go around. Yeah. And if you're doing your job with marketing and branding, then you don't have to worry about the competition.
It's a scarcity mindset that doesn't really exist. And I think there's probably like 7% of the reason I started this company was I was working with a lot of commercial photographers and seeing how they do what they do. And they went above and beyond to keep it hidden. And like, we're really paranoid about it. And it was like, this is going to end my career. And, I just thought that was so silly. I was like, I think,
it's insecure.
Rising tide raises all ships. I think that's the first time I remembered that. But that was, I think, an
good.
appropriate use of that word. But it's better for everyone. It just makes the whole industry better. So
it does. And it builds better.
Sharon is Karen.
Yeah, it builds better relationships too. Like the people that are technically my employees, I consider them family. Like they're the people that I go hang out with when we're not working. They're the people that, I talk to when I am upset about the client that's pissed off. And I want that. I want those relationships.
Those are the best kind of ships.
Yes.
Relationships. Right, Jason? Now I'm just saying things just to get his rolling eyes.
Here? I'm leaving.
Do you guys know Dane Cook?
Yeah.
It's not a relationship. It's a relationship.
What happened to him? He was real hot and then
he
disappeared.
was.
Did he get canceled?
I feel like he did because he stole a lot of people's jokes, apparently.
Oh, is that? He did that?
Apparently.
Oh, he was real funny for him.
I think he wasn't like respected by the rest of the comics, so that kind of,
Dane Cook.
Dane Cook. Sufi.
Do you guys, all right, what's your favorite comedian? Do you have one?
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr. Oh, yeah. Good. And you?
Yeah, Bill Burr's definitely up there. I'd say like Dave Chappelle. I liked him. I like tons of like, I don't even know where to start. I've got like a kind of
A Rolodex?
Yeah, a thing that I keep
journal it?
No, but I keep scrolling on my phone and I just have
On Netflix has a lot of great stand-up.
Yeah. There's Tig Notaro. I really like her.
It's like
Chelsea Peretti.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's just a ton. So
Mine's Tom Segura. Thanks for asking.
Tom Segura. Yeah, I love Tom Segura. Do you listen to Two Bears?
Yeah.
One Cave.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that one too.
Yeah. He's a wild man.
I like the big guys, you know, because I'm one of them. So I feel more, you know. And the thing I like about Tom is he's, you know, he also does a podcast in Spanish because his mom's Peruvian. So it's like, it's just funny to see a guy like that, you know, speaking fluent Spanish, like native Spanish, you know. But
he does a whole bit on that. He's like, you wouldn't expect it to come out of my mouth.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's like my son. You know, my son was born in Yucatan, and he's like a native Mexican, but he looks like me, and he's actually bigger than me. But you wouldn't expect like fluent Spanish to come out of his mouth,
right?
You know, when you're talking to him, be like, because him and his mom, my wife is from Yucatan, so when they're together, they both speak Spanish together.
That's awesome.
And I
wanted to do that with my kids, but did not work out.
They had, I think it's hard if you're not like native to it. You know what I mean? And especially because my son grew up, his school is Spanish. So it's like he grew up speaking both languages.
Oh, so great.
But if they're both there like joking with each other, I'm not invited to the party because I come in with my crappy Spanish and they're like making jokes back and forth. And I'm like, ¿qué pasa? ¿Cómo está? And they're like, no. No,
gringo, no.
Go away. Or they're like, we'll do English, but you don't. And I was riding in the car the other day with my son. I was like, look at us, a couple of cool guys riding here in the car. It's like, you know, if we wanted to, we could speak Spanish. Because to me, I grew up in a small town in North Carolina, and it's like, like nobody spoke second languages there,
right?
You know, so to me, it's really cool. For him, it's nothing though, because he just has always spoken two different languages. So.
Which is amazing. Your brain grows differently.
Yeah. No, he loves languages. He's trying to learn German and French now. That's his thing. But
I mean, French will be somewhat easy. I can read French. But it's like the Romance languages. They're all based in the same thing. So once you learn one, you're good.
So I speak the least valuable Romance language, Romanian. So I can't do anything with it outside of that country.
But that's cool.
You speak Romanian?
Mm-hmm.
How do you speak Romanian?
I lived in Moldova for 3 years.
Whoa. Say something.
Cheva.
That's something. You just made that
really?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was in the Peace Corps, so we had to learn it. So actually in the previous or 2 podcasts ago when you were mentioning having to move somewhere to actually learn the language, that was it. It was like sink or swim. So 3 straight months of language training that you have to graduate from. Right. And you get assigned to a village. And holy heck, it's rough. I mean, you're with people that never met an American, do not speak a lick of English. And this is, you know, internet was hard to get to then, so
I think we established
smartphones weren't a thing. So that's the best way to learn it,
right?
Real quick.
Yeah, that's how I learned. Nobody would speak English. I found out later that my wife's cousin, who I became good friends with, I didn't know he spoke English.
Are you serious?
Because he would just he would never speak English with me. He's like, you have to learn how to speak. You know.
Wow.
So and then later he was like, hey man, how's it going? I'm like, wait. You speak English? He's like, yes, but you had to learn the language. And the funny thing is, like, one of the things they told me at the very beginning was you have to pick a personality because you have a different personality.
Yeah, you do have a different personality.
Yeah.
It's so true.
And I talk to people that speak both pretty much equally, and they're like, your personality is so different in Spanish than it is in English. And I'm like,
well, because you have different vocabulary that you have to work with, so it has to come across differently.
I try to do like a kind of a Banderas like sexiness when I'm like in Spanish that I don't have. I'm just kind of a dork in English.
So but that's good. Wait, I need to hear yours now.
No, I'm not going to speak Spanish. It's too embarrassing.
But Antonio Banderas.
No, but it's not. It is not. It's in my head. It's not real.
Okay. So my German is actually an 8-year-old Austrian kid. Like that's who he is, and he's got a soul. His name is Muschel Schubscher. And
you got his whole story?
And no, he's got a best friend. It's Julius Meinl, which is an Austrian coffee.
So and this is why you can't read books right here. This is why.
100%. So we both have these characters, and it sounds a little something like this. We get very excited about schnitzel. So but yes, you have to become a whole other person and like.
Well, that's
the character.
Oh, was that you then?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because I was like, it's Christopher Walken.
Oh no, that
That's not you?
No,
That's
it's
why I
not
heard
me.
Christopher
okay.
Walken.
I was like, Christopher Walken sounds very German in that recording.
Well, that was the 8-year-old Mushel.
Okay.
Or Mush.
That was Mushel.
That was Mushel.
He was being naughty, a little naughty.
Yeah, it's very
See, now
fashionable.
we're just talking about alternate personalities, which we can do that.
Yeah.
I have a
Do you have one?
I do. I have a Jersey. So I grew up in Jersey, but I train.
do you do like
train
a
the
really
accent.
good Jersey girl?
Yeah, I
Let's hear
do.
it. Like
You've-
super trashy,
You've
like
never,
Long Island?
Oh yeah, total.
let's hear
No,
it.
not
Lay it
Long
on me.
Island. Staten Island.
Staten Island,
You got to
yeah.
know the difference between Long Island and Staten Island.
Oh, God, who is this?
Seriously, it's Jersey Gina, and I don't want you running your mouth. My husband is going to come after you. You just wait. I don't have any gum in my mouth. It would be better with gum in my mouth.
Oh yeah, chomping. Oh yeah.
I did my
Long Island.
my R7 video, and I did it with her, like my multiple personality. Every once in a while, I'll do a video with like Vanessa Killjoy, and I'm like a troll.
Yes.
And then I have Jersey Gina, who's making fun of my videos, and it's hysterical how many people are like, I couldn't listen to you because that's so annoying. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, then don't.
Yeah.
And most people liked it.
I grew up hating the fact that I didn't have a Southern accent. I was always sad.
You don't like having a Southern accent,
I don't have a Southern accent.
but you can just create
Well,
it.
if you want
No,
to.
but I
if
mean,
you-
I did. Like, if you watch videos of me when I'm younger,
You had it.
I'm doing a fake one.
Are you
Because I wanted to
serious?
be like cool with like my whole family has really big like Southern accents. You know,
where's Southern?
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
But so the word, this is gonna sound really dumb. It's gonna come out of my mouth anyway.
Here we go.
Where'd you learn your English? Like from TV? Like where? If we're surrounded
Well, I
by.
learned my English. What do you mean? Where did I learn my English?
But if you're surrounded and you grew up with people with an accent,
Yeah,
how
I don't
did you
know.
not have one?
I don't know.
You're like, I know how to do this better.
I was like, I just want to sound smart.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Doesn't technically everyone have an accent, depending on who the person listening is?
No, I have no accent.
So there's a neutral of every
If
language.
I go to England,
and how do
people
we
are like,
determine
oh,
what that neutral
he
is?
sounds normal.
Like, what's the neutral?
We
of every
sound.
language?
We're doing a like good eye there. Well, that's like Australian.
Yeah.
Hi,
There's a whole other thing.
I'm from
How are you?
bloody old England.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
perfect accent.
Continents, yeah,
I'm
everywhere.
actually British.
All right. All right.
Anyway,
Actually-
so photography.
Yeah.
Photos, pixels,
Pixels.
ones and zeros.
Are you a fan of Lightroom or Camera Raw, or what do you use? What's
On
your
one.
post process?
On
Tell
one.
us about
I
it.
use Lightroom Mobile a lot because I do same day edits for weddings.
Okay.
But if I'm going to really work on a photo, I actually prefer Capture One. I just like the way the raw process is better.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently, thank you AI, Luminar Neo has been fun to play with. I'm gonna play with what's the other one? Envato, I think, is another one. There's so many options now with all the AI stuff coming out. But mostly Lightroom because for me it's the fastest and easiest to use because I know it better, not because it is faster or easier to use than Capture One, just because I'm more familiar with it.
Right.
So is AI in your workflow touching your photos at all? at
Not
this
right
point?
now. No.
Is it going to be soon?
I can't imagine it not being.
Yeah.
It's just sweeping the nation. The world.
Sweeping the nation.
Sweeping the nation. Yeah.
It's like a dance. Sweeping the nation.
Yep. It's like the the Running Man.
Dancing or no dancing, both of you?
Dancing.
You dance?
Always dancing.
I'm kind of big to dance.
What's your go? You are.
Yeah. I
what's your go-
kind of make things jump and move whenever I'm doing.
You make it
but I can
hop.
dance. I can do it if I need to.
What's the dance you guys know the most? Like a tango would be.
I do a really good Running Man.
I just kind of jump up and down.
All right.
I can do. What's the dance from? You guys remember the show? Damn, you're not gonna know this. The rerun dance. Have you ever seen that?
No.
No.
You wanna
What
show
is
it to
it?
us?
You want to get
Okay.
up and do it?
No,
do
I
it.
can't do it. But I always
There's
wanted-
Not with
that
I used to have a
attitude.
friend. Go look up. Listener at home, if you're under 40, look at the rerun dance, and you'll know what I'm talking about. It's
All right,
amazing.
fair enough. Well, Vanessa, thank you for coming by. I know you're busy, and we're right at the hour mark. That blew by.
That was an hour?
Guys, I had a blast.
That's
a
awesome.
blast, right?
You guys are fun.
Can we do?
I blacked out.
Can we
What
do
happened?
Just a little more of the New Jersey, Staten Island.
You want Jersey Gina to come back?
Yeah, I want Jenna.
She's a whole lot of fun.
I just
Can you
love
get
that.
me a glass of water? My coffee isn't really. It's the poo juice isn't working for me. I think I need some water.
Oh man, I just love it so much.
Yes.
I think that one might be my favorite one.
a good one.
That one might be my favorite one. All right, where can everyone go to sign up for all the things with you and find your work?
All your
and
stuff.
All your
All the
websites?
things.
All the things.
Breatheyourpassion.com is actually my technical website, but it's much easier to remember VanessaJoy.com, and then just go to the education tab.
And don't forget to type in the soft J, not the hard J
Yes.
of Joy. It's the same
Extremely
spelling.
important.
Yeah. One's
Boy.
capital,
Muy importante.
one's lowercase.
There's a lot of characters. A lot of characters here today.
So that was supposed to be the outro. Too many menus.
Well, that's all for today's podcast. Join us next time for more interesting discussion about the wonderful world of photography and her dark magical secrets. I'm fascinated with Instagram. It's such a simple construct. Just take a picture and post it on the internet. The other day, I took a picture of my neighbor's pet rabbit. He told me not to post it, but, I did anyway. Wow.